Hi, I'm Mars from StrataGames, and today we are playing some more Black Sack. I'm trying out some cards that people have been talking about for a little while in the Black Sack Discord. If you haven't joined that, you should do so down below. But some cards that people have suggested could be good in the deck. I'm not 100% confident they're going to be good, but why don't we actually try them out and see. Soul Shriek is the main one, which is just a black mana for an instant. Target creature you control gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice that creature at the beginning of the next end step. Now, we are a deck that plays a lot of creatures and sacrifices quite a few of them. I'm a little hesitant on this card because we generally don't actually have that many creatures in our graveyard. Having more than like 3 or 4 creatures in there at a time until you go to the very late game, or if you sacrifice your entire board, it's usually a little difficult. But if this pumps for just a little bit, it is both the pump spell and the sacrifice effect for like a nested shambler. So you can use this obviously to just make a whole bunch of squirrels, or it can just be a one shot like +5/+0 to a creature, if not more, to win the game out of nowhere where your opponents will not be anticipating it. The other card that we're trying out is Perigee Beckoner. I'm being a little facetious about this. Beckoner's been around for a little while. A lot of people like it. It's not my favorite thing, but it's become so much of a staple in the archetype. I don't think it's mandatory you play it in your decks, but since I prefer not to play with it, I'm almost never playing with it, and then I don't necessarily get as much experience with it as maybe I should have, so I would like to experience it a little bit more, but I also figured this is the perfect deck for it because Soul Shriek wants us to have as many creatures as possible, so this is a deck that I specifically overloaded with creatures. We're playing a lot of the same ones we usually do, but 4 Beckoners instead of Staminas is going to up that a little bit. I'm playing 3 Shambling Ghast, 3 Accursed Marauder instead of 2 and 2, and I guess that's it, but that's 6 more creatures than I usually play in the deck to hopefully make the Soul Shriek be as potent as possible. I kept only the spells that I thought were 100% important. Rite of Consumption, which works great with the Soul Shriek because you can pump your guy a whole bunch of power, giving it an extra boost, and then throwing it with the Rite of Consumption. And Village Rites, we could take these out. There are versions of the deck that play no card draw that do very well, but I figured if the goal was to get as many creatures in our graveyard as possible, the card draw that sacrifices creatures is actually something we don't want to go against. So we left those 4 in as well, and then of course we're playing 17 lands. But 34 creatures feels like enough that it'll hopefully do pretty well. And then my sideboard is pretty much just exactly what I play in my stock list, although I swapped out the Spinning Darkness for a Tragic Slip, because since we want creatures in our graveyard, Spinning Darkness, the cost is not usually very high, exiling a couple creatures from your graveyard, but with the Soul Shriek, it will be quite a bit higher, so I figured we should cut that. So otherwise, 2 Rotten Reunion, 3 Tragic Slip, our last Accursed Marauder, 4 Mez Fiend, 2 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Life Staff, and Nile Spellbomb. So let's take this for a league and see how we do. On the play round 1 here, and we have the old 1-lander, but with some card draw. We also just have Carrion Feeder Beetle, which is a great combo, so we're going to keep it. We have basically everything that you want except for 2 lands. A land, fodder, card draw, 2 growers that complement each other, that being a beetle and one of the other 2, some removal, and then the Beckoner for a little bit of extra value. I was 100% on autopilot. I just played a swamp and I passed the turn because I've been playing a lot of blue decks. But no fear, we top deck the swamp. There's no reason to be alarmed. Obviously, I should have a Link Breaker down right now, which would make it a lot safer to run out my Carrion Feeder and my Beetle, but we're going to be just fine. We're still going to play Carrion Feeder and Link Breaker, and we're going to get in the headspace of actually playing Black Sack instead of all those ridiculous blue decks I've been playing. We don't have a Spell Pierce to hold up here. Looks like we're against White Weenie, which is generally one of our worst matchups. They tap 2 and then attack? Sure. I think they might have a Thraben Charm they were thinking about using on this and realized that the Link Breaker can actually keep it alive, so they're hoping I'll block with the Link Breaker and like trade or sacrifice or something, and then they can get the Thraben Charm, but I'm not going to do that. I can happily take 1 damage here, and then they just Skyfisher. Maybe they were just doing that and realized they could get it for a free damage. That's also a possibility. By bouncing this, though, I could actually Marauder. If I get a land, then I can just Beetle and Marauder away the Skyfisher, and then I'm going to sack the Link Breaker. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Keeping the Link Breaker would mean that I could use the Beckoner on it later to grow it and sack it for extra value, which obviously I can do with the Marauder now, but it's not as important to like Ether Veteran. Yeah, I think that was a mistake. I should have just sacked the Marauder. Maybe I was getting a little too fancy with it. All right, 3 turns, 2 mistakes. We'll try to cut those off right now. No more mistakes. There's a Veteran, Novice Inspector, pass the turn. There's our Soul Shriek. 1 creature in the graveyard, but I could make it a little bit higher. I do think that we'll warp on the Marauder here. It just lets me get in for more damage, and then I can sack it to the feeder. It'll come back, eat 1 of these guys, then go to our graveyard. Soul Shriek not looking too incredible this turn, but it could be good in a few. Yeah, we'll go on the Marauder, and I'm going to buff up the feeder here because I don't want to attack with the Mercenary, obviously, but I want to get its damage in. If they block the feeder, I can sack a Mercenary or the Beckoner or a couple. They just take it. This is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I can't quite kill. This Beckoner is probably not going to be cast though, like hard cast. So I'm just going to sack it, get in for a little bit of extra damage, hit for 11. And then we're actually going to Village Rites the Marauder. Grow the Beetle. This comes back. We both sack a thing. Beetle grows even more. Beetle's enormous. And we get a Shambler with the Soul Shriek. Okay. So that currently could be a 4-1. 4 guys. So that's 5 sacrifices. Not as much as a stamina, even though it's +3 because the creature doesn't come back. But they Battle Screech here, flash it back, gain some life. But it's also possible I could just... Oh, I really wish I had another land so I could Shambler, Soul Shriek, and Beckoner. But I can just play the Shambler, buff it with the Mercenary. Let's see. If I attack with both, and I assume they block the Beetle, but they might not block the feeder. Can I deal lethal with the feeder is the question. Because I could do 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, and then I can Soul Shriek for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just a couple short. So I think we just go for the Beckoner here. This is a point where the stamina could be a little better because I could stamina and Soul Shriek rather than the Beckoner. But the Beckoner's not bad here either. They have to block the Beetle, and they're going to take a lot if they don't block the feeder. They do go for 1 on each. So we're going to sack the Shambler. And I am going to sack the Beckoner, not only because I think getting to 5 mana is going to be tough, but also I actually want the creature in my grave for the Soul Shriek. So Soul Shriek's +4, and we just have like a huge army here of multicolors. So even if they get a Prismatic Strands, it's going to be tough to prevent all the damage, which is kind of cool. They crack a Clue, another Veteran, and they have the Thraben Charm. I was just thinking this. So they can deal 8 damage to it. I could keep the feeder alive, but I'd have to sack 4 squirrels and the Mercenary for it, or the Shambler, and just have 2 giant creatures. If it goes to the grave, Soul Shriek's +5/+0. I kind of think I'd rather just have all the creatures around because we already have a Bloodthorn Vampire in hand that can replace the feeder. So let's just sack it to itself. We get a Swamp. So let's play a Vampire, buff the Shambler with the Mercenary. We get to attack with everybody, and then the Shambler is going to become a 7/1. Whether they block it or not, it's going to make 7 squirrels. That's pretty funny. They don't block. So this is 6, 11 damage. Not quite lethal. +5/+0. That's pretty dang good. And then this is sacrifice it at the end step. So I don't have to sack it to the Vampire. It doesn't really matter either way. We're going to make 7 more squirrels. I will say, already, first time casting it, it's exceeded my expectations a little bit. That said, they haven't had the best start. Like, they just haven't had that many creatures. Or Prismatic Strands or interaction or anything really, so. But that was kind of cool. Soul Shriek obviously could also get blown up by a Thraben Charm in response, so something we got to be aware of. But we get Rotten Reunion for Graveyard Hate, Drown in Sorrows, and generally some Mesmeric Fiends. Marauders don't do much. Soul Shriek could be a liability because they can exile our graveyard. I think we're probably going to keep it in just because I want to keep trying it out, but I could see it being a waste. Here we have an okay hand if we had a Carrion Feeder. Or if I had a Village Rites, I'd keep it, but I don't think we're going to keep that one. This one needs a little help, but at least has the Vampire. Soul Shriek, not probably going to be great for a while, but it could still be good this game. Get rid of one of the Swamps. And that was with those 2 mistakes that I made. Not playing anything on turn 1. They did appear a little flooded, to be fair, but this time I actually will cast the Link Breaker immediately. I'm just feeling it this time, you know? Double Inspector. Alright, we have our Graveyard Hate covered for Prismatic Strands, Battle Screech, and the like. Journey to Nowhere. That is a bit unfortunate. I cut Unearth and everything like that from the deck. Everything that would reanimate the Bloodthorn Vampire. But we do have the Soul Shriek, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to sacrifice it to itself. If I do, it buffs the Soul Shriek, which is good, but if I do that, they also could Core Skyfisher back the Journey to Nowhere and use it again. And that seems bad. So I think I'm going to let it go, because otherwise if we sack it, we have no way to get it back, and then the next grower that we get probably just gets journeyed as well, if they hit a Skyfisher, but the chance they hit 1 throughout the game is pretty reasonable. We are getting a little flooded, I will say. Swing for 1, they crack a Clue, hit a Plains. Swing for 2, I mean, we're not dying that quickly, but play a Sage. I guess I could double block now. If they have like a Thraben Charm and use it to kill a couple of these, that's not the worst use for us. That's pretty good, honestly. So they crack a Clue, play a Plains. They are going to swing. I'll double block. And if we just get to trade one of these for an Inspector, I'm pretty happy with that too. Which looks like we will Perigee Beckoner. This turn that just lets me hit for a little bit of damage. I guess interestingly I can Beckoner the Sage and then I can Soul Shriek it. It's only pumping it by 1, but it's gonna sacrifice it, which would return it with the Beckoner at the end step. So I'd make an extra insect out of it. Feels like I might as well cast the Beckoner, because if we top deck another land, we're going to want to just hard cast it anyway. Buff the Sage. I don't think I want to waste the Soul Shriek though. It's a card for 1 insect and 1 damage, and that just doesn't seem very good. I have the Battle Screech. I have no way to stop the flashback, unfortunately. No way to kill the Inspector or exile this before they can cast it. I think I will just crack the Spell Bomb because we already have the Rotten Reunion and I'd like the card draw. If we had a land, we can get a Beckoner down, which could be something. If we can find a Drown in Sorrow, we can make sure we don't die to it like a Guardian's Pledge. Ooh, and we just get a Village Rites. That's not terrible. Just gonna cast that on the Sage. There's the Drown in Sorrow, although we'll be wiping away our tokens, but probably worth it. I could try to wait and do it next turn, do a couple chump blocks with my creatures. If they Guardian's Pledge, we could take quite a bit of damage, but we could also maybe draw out an extra card or 2. I think we will. Our hand is a lot of jank right now. We kind of need to wait until we draw something better. Yep, they swing with everything. I'll block and block. Like if I'm lucky, they just cast like, I don't know, a couple Squadron Hawks or something. Something that I can easily just Drown in Sorrow. Skyfisher. See, I can't do anything about that. They can pick up the Inspector. This actually makes it worse because they get to pick up the Inspector. They also are holding up, I assume, a Thraben Charm. And they didn't replay the Inspector, so that's actually just really annoying. I could play a Beckoner for 5, but then they just Thraben Charm to kill it. I guess we're just Drowning in Sorrow, but it made me regret waiting the extra turn. We don't need another Swamp. Idyllic Grange to pump the Skyfisher. Inspector. Don't have another Battle Screech. Oh, come on. Yep. Second Drown in Sorrow. No. I guess we'll just play this. We're pretty much dead, but if we top deck a Drown in Sorrow, I'm still pretty dead because I take 7 here. Then the Skyfisher survives the Drown. So I guess like a Village Rites into Drown plus something that kills a Skyfisher. I think I took out all my single target removal. Yeah, they just have the Pledge, so we're dead either way. Soul Shriek was pretty unfortunate there, because it just didn't do anything. If it was just a stamina, it wouldn't have done much more, to be fair. All right, on the play, we have Feeder, Beetle, and a whole lot of fodder, 1 land, and a dream, so we'll be fine. Let's just start with this guy. Shambling Ghast can be free if we just cycle it for a treasure, which could get these bigger sooner. So if we get like a Swamp next turn, then I can play Beetle, Shambling Ghast, sack it right away, get an Infestation Sage down, and these could both be 4/4s. No creature is pretty good, actually, because it means they're not able to play a Thraben Charm on a creature turn 2 here. They could Journey to Nowhere. Hopefully they'll do that on the Carrion Feeder, and I have another Carrion Feeder to come. Rafine's Informant, that's also fine. Pitch a Destroy Evil. Okay, that's scary. What's their hand gotta be to be getting rid of a Destroy Evil that's going to blow up one of these guys? Because all we're getting is this, so I'm going to sack the Shambler, make a treasure, and this could make it so these guys become 4/4s. So I feel like they'll have another Destroy Evil or something. We'll play the Link Breaker, because I might sack that in case we end up with a Nested Shambler. The Mercenary would be better than the Bug here. They just take it. I'm going to sack, but I'm not going to sack the second one in case they have the Destroy Evil, and I just want to have the Mercenary around. But hit for 6 is pretty good. There's an Inspector, so Thraben Charm could take out either of them right now. Unless I sack both of the other creatures to keep it alive, which honestly, I probably would to keep the Beetle alive because I have this other feeder, but they just play a Skyfisher. Pick up the Inspector again. We do get the Nested Shambler. Okay. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So these could be 7/7s. So they have to chump block. And if they double block, then I get to just eat both their guys, which is great. If they don't chump block, they just take lethal. All right, they do block here, make 2 squirrels, and we'll just leave it at that. I don't need to deal more damage, and in case they kill the feeder or something, I'd like to have fodder for the next feeder. There's the Destroy Evil. Yep, they could have another Destroy Evil. That'd be really unfortunate, but feeder's down. I'm gonna sack it to itself to grow the Beetle, or maybe like a Journey to Nowhere would be their next play. No, just an Inspector. Okay, perfect. A little late, but honestly, we're doing A-okay on 1 mana, so the second mana is just overpowered. We hardly need it. Let's buff the Beetle. Beetle's already lethal, but this would make it fewer creatures to sacrifice to make it lethal. So they're going to jump with the Inspector, and then we'll just leave that. Pass the turn. They crack a clue, and crack another clue. I mean, that is a good sign. They can play another Inspector, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, also we have stuff in hand. So both of these can be lethal, so they have to double chump, which means we get to attack with everything else and hit in for 4. They do double chump. They should have switched the way they did it, because they could have forced us to sacrifice an extra creature to the feeder. It doesn't make that big of a difference because they're already in such a bad spot, but since they're both chump blocking anyway, might as well force us to sacrifice more creatures. But they're down to 5. Even if they answer both of these, they're just dead to fodder, so they would need like Holy Light. Well, Prismatic Strands obviously just could keep them alive for a little while, but like Holy Light to wipe most of the fodder into some Journey to Nowheres could do it. But we end up taking the match. Nice. You can now pick up my comprehensive guide to Esper Cryo Affinity, including 38 sideboard matchups, and I just put out a big update for my Black Sack guide, including a slightly different deck list. I began offering coaching sessions if you're interested in taking your Pauper game to the next level, and I'm accepting deck donations, so if you desperately want me to play a deck that I usually wouldn't play, something like Elves, then you can make me do that for a small fee. I've started posting a League video every single day, not to mention streaming at least a couple times a week on Twitch, but I'm not going to be able to keep that up forever unless I can get a little bit more help from the community. Any of the ways I've just mentioned are great ways to help me out, or you can even subscribe and support me on a monthly basis. Round 2, we get... If we had a Carrion Feeder or a Vampire, this hand is like incredible. I mean, Vampire, it's incredible. Carrion Feeder is very good. I mean, we have some things we can do. No. Alright, we gotta ship this one. It's very close. It just doesn't do anything without more stuff. Alright, this one though, we've got Marauders for the Beetle, although I'm probably getting rid of one of them, either that or the Beckoner. Beckoner currently doesn't do a lot, but with like a Carrion Feeder it could. Marauder might not be good. I think we gotta hedge here a little bit. And how aggressive do we want to be? If we just play a Mortician Beetle and they play any random creature, the Marauder, the Beetle grows. But if they just like bolt the Beetle, then our game plan falls apart, so I think we just take it slow. Oh, well that's hilarious. Now I really wish I played the Beetle. So it's a mirror match. The thing about mirror matches is that it's all about the Beetles, like 100%, which means even though we don't get the counter from the Beetle, the 2 counters, which is really unfortunate, I'm going to Marauder here to kill their Beetle because I need it dead. Because if they just get any fodder, then it's bad. I think we're sacking the Marauder to itself because then Marauder's like not guaranteed to be good against them unless they play like a Vampire here, right? And the Link Breaker being around can be good for the Beckoner. So if I get a land here, I get to warp in a Beckoner and then Village Rites. They unearth the Beetle. No! You have to understand the Beetle is so important in this match because we both sacrifice all of our creatures. So like if I now go with the warping the Beckoner for the Link Breaker and then sack it to the Village Rites, they grow their guy. And that's very bad. I do have a Beetle too, but now if I warp it, I don't even get to do anything. So it's either that or I could just Village Rites, which does grow both of our guys. It's probably worth it though. We don't have a lot of removal in our deck either, so killing their Beetle is going to be tough. Then again, they're probably not going to have that much removal, and if they're playing like Snuff Outs, like a loser, I say, being someone who suggests Snuff Outs in your main deck, we happen to not be playing them though. So if they're playing Snuff Outs, that's kind of a dead card against us, which is nice. What do we get? Shambling Ghast. Yeah, that is annoying because I was just thinking if we got a Shambling Ghast while this was still as a 1/1, which they might be able to modify it themselves, but if they couldn't, we can use the Ghast to pick off their Beetle. However, it has to be on their turn that you sacrifice the Shambling Ghast because of AppNap. Active player, non-active player. Their trigger would go on the stack first, which means ours would resolve first. They have the Vampire. Oh boy, we're going to lose this if we don't get like our own Carrion Feeder or Vampire right now. Okay, that's another Beetle. I do not play a lot of mirror matches. Like, as much as I play of this deck, I don't play a lot of mirror matches, and they are scary. Play a Sage. Luckily, it's hard for them to attack in. And they're going to Conviction, because if they attack in and we force them to sack stuff to the Vampire, our Beetles grow. Yes, we would like ours to grow from their Conviction. Also, if we get like a Carrion Feeder, then I can sack my Ghast, growing our Beetles, to give -1/-1 to the Vampire. Well, now they have 2 Vampires, but then they'd have to sack the Vampire, or sack something to the Vampire to keep it alive, which would grow our Beetles again. I guess I could just hardcast a Beckoner. The ETB's not doing much of anything, but it's a creature to block. Problem is if they just get like a Rite of Consumption to bring their vampire up, we're just going to die to that. But what are you going to do? I think we're just casting this on the Ghast. They're not going to block it, so I'm just getting in for free damage, but might as well do that. 4 free damage makes it easier for a Rite of Consumption of our own, or a Soul Shriek. Not that Soul Shriek looks great right now, it would only be +2. They have a Defile? That's interesting. That kills a beetle. They attack with everybody. Well, I kind of assume I'm dead. Like, so say a vampire gets unblocked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be an 11-11. If a beetle's unblocked 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 9-9, and this is a 7-7, so that's 16, and that's without like a stamina, which would be 20. So I probably block like this. This is going to make him sack 2 things. Yeah, I think this is our best block. We could certainly die. This could be 11 damage, so if they have, double stamina, we easily die. Stamina plus, just a Rite of Consumption would kill us, of course. They sack the Sage and the Insect. So Beckoner's being eaten right now if they just want to leave it at that. Hit for 7. Nope, they're still going. Yeah, they're going like they have a Rite of Consumption. Yeah, including sacking the beetle. Okay, we are dead. Boom, fling it. Ooh, let's grow our beetle on the way out. Nice. Yeah, we did have the beetles, more beetles than them, but we didn't have any way to grow the beetles, you see, and that's the problem. We do get Tragic Slips for Marauders. I could bring in Mesmeric Fiends. I usually do when I'm siding out Snuff Outs, but we don't really have anything else we need to side out. So I think we'll just leave it at that. 1 lander. Oh, so many good cards, but we can't fall behind. In the mirror, we very much need a reasonable hand. This is not reasonable either, though. It's all fodder and a win con. So let's go down to 5. I guess we're keeping this one. It's another 1 lander with no card draw, but at least we have the Vampire and the Beetle. I think we are just getting rid of Beckoner and Soul Shriek. I'm not going to start with the Beetle because they could defile it right away, since we know about that. Or Tragic Slip, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised for them to have some of those too. Village Rites, no. Swing for 1. Infestation Siege. They got a Link Breaker, and they're clearly holding up 1 mana for something. Perfect. I was wondering where my 3rd vampire was. So I'm glad we got there. I don't think there's any benefit to running out of Beetle at the moment, so I'm not going to do that. There's a Sage. Swing for 1. They pass. We get a Tragic Slip. Swing with the crew, pass the turn, swing for 2, and they just pass. Link Breaker. Alright, we're a little ahead of them in the fodder foot race here, and I'll play a Link Breaker. Swing, I guess we'll block. I'm trying to think if there's a reason we shouldn't. Supernatural Stamina would be the reason, although they used it on this one, so I assume they're just going to have a Village Rites for it or whatever. Yeah, I guess the reason to not would have been Stamina if they didn't have a sack effect, but they did. Just give us a swamp. Perfect. That's what I asked for. Swing with the crew. They're going to take it. We'll pass. In a world where we could actually get some creatures into our graveyard and some creatures on the field, this Soul Shriek out of nowhere could surprise them and actually win us the game, but right now it's not looking like it's going to do that. If they have another stamina here, I'd probably Tragic Slip the guy, but they don't. Oh my god. That's a feeder. That's decent. Swing for 3. They have a Tragic Slip for the Mercenary. Sure. Hit for 2. Play Carrion Feeder. I could sack the Ghast to get down a Beetle. I think they're probably going to try to kill the Feeder in response. Kind of expect more removal though, so I don't think that's the best idea. Defile is -4. That's a lot. Question is, do I want to sacrifice these in response? Because I could. The Feeder's going to die regardless, but I could make an Insect, which could block, or could just get Soul Shrieked for 4, because I could also make a Treasure off the Ghast. But then I'm losing all my guys. The Vampire's not very good. I could just sack the Ghast. Obviously, I can make a Treasure for a Tragic Slip. Oh, brother. I think we sack the Ghast for a Treasure here. I don't know. This way I have a Tragic Slip up if they go for Vampire Rite of Consumption. Not that I'm really expecting that. We have a Tragic Slip up for a Supernatural Stamina, and it's just an extra creature in the graveyard for the Soul Shriek. It allows us to play the Vampire next turn. This one feels like it would have been incredibly easy if we just had hit that second land drop, but I suppose it's not over yet. We're going to take 3. Pass. We get a Link Breaker. Part of me thinks Vampire just dies pretty easily to a Defile or Tragic Slip if we play it. It's also we're kind of losing the race, but if I can just deal enough damage to make this Soul Shriek lethal, then it could be good. So for that reason, actually, should I just play Link Breaker Beetle as blockers? This is 3, it could be 5 next turn, which is almost lethal. Oh, plus the guy from the Link Breaker would be. I think we're going to do that. I just don't think they're going to see the Soul Shriek coming, so I think this might be our way to steal the game. I assume the Beetle will, get Tragic Slip tragically slipped. I cannot say that. There's a vampire, so, I mean, we could just die to the right of consumption right here, which would be pretty annoying. But if they just start stacking vampire guys to the vampire for no reason, that's exactly what's happening. Yep, I wanted to hold up the tragic slip for this exact thing. I don't know if they would have gone for it if we weren't fully tapped out, but that is a bit unfortunate. All right, we have a hand that really needs some fodder, but has got a lot of stuff going for it. And we see a sprawl. If it's monsters, it's generally a good matchup for us. If it's bogles, it's generally a good matchup for us. Although we need fodder to make either of those true. Well, we just need an accursed marauder to make the bogles match be good for us. But looks like monsters. There's a jewel thief. Could be a turn 3 avenging hunter from them. We do get a beetle. Part of the reason, if I play a vampire here, it probably just... Not probably, but it could just get like ram through'd, which is really bad. We're also not going to be like super aggressive against them. I'm just going to play the beetle. If they go for a ram through, at least I get to village rights it. But beetle is one of the reasons that we're really good against monsters, because they play a lot of Eldrazi spawn. Beetle grows bigger than any of their creatures, and then they can't do much about it. They have no hard removal either, which is nice. But at lower sizes like this, ram through could certainly kill our creature. They're going to swing in for 3. And there's Chris. Chris loves to feed the beetle. Oh my gosh. Just give me fodder. I'm playing more in this deck than usual. We're playing 16. No, 15. I guess I only did 3 Shambling Ghast. I almost did more. All right, we'll pass the turn. They sack both of their spawn. Looks like they're playing a 5-drop, probably an Avenging Hunter, maybe a Wildling, but that's a Hunter. Searches up a forest. Actually swing with the Jewel Thief, because they think we won't sack this vampire, but little do they know that I'm dying for a reason to sack one of my vampires. We already have more village rights. Yeah, I think we will. Like, we need to draw something here. I don't mind growing the beetle even bigger, and as much as I would like to keep the vampire around, I simply must draw something. And ideally I find another carrion feeder or a vampire alongside some fodder, or just a right of consumption and another land. That's fine too, I suppose. Infestation Sage, okay. So I could play the Sage and attack with the beetle. If they double block, then I just trade with the Hunter. If they only single block, I can obviously outgrow it. Could also Beckoner. I guess I go for a Sage and then a Beckoner on the Sage. I could do the Beckoner on the Beetle, and then it'll come right back if they block, which they probably will, because otherwise we get the initiative. Maybe that's better, not throwing away the Beetle. Sure. I mean, it'll lose its counters, obviously, but it can grow again. I don't know. We'll swing for 4. Well, 6. 4 at the moment. And if they see this as just a way to block with the Chrysalis, then I can village rights to actually keep the beetle alive, and it won't die, which I don't care about because I just need it to not lose its counters. Perfect. And we'll sack this Sage because the Beckoner... Yeah, so by doing this, we actually made it less obvious we had a way to grow the beetle. And then the Beckoner I actually might cast next turn. So, of course, we get more lands and more useless spells that we put in our deck for some reason. We're not doing too bad at this point, though. We have a 5/5 beetle. We also have an insect, which if they don't get another reach creature, can take the initiative. They do get to grow the hunter, though. They'll attack for 7, and they have another hunter, so we're down to 5 with 2 5-power tramplers. Accursed Marauder would be a great draw off the top. Nested Shambler with a Soul Shriek. I don't imagine there's any way I could win here, right? Because I could Shambler, Village Rights the Shambler. Beetle's a 6/6. We attack with Insect and Beetle. Soul Shriek gives +3 to the Beetle. And then I could Right of Consumption for 1 short. Yeah. Okay, so what if I didn't... What if I Village Rights on the Insect? Beetle's 6 power. We draw 2. We Soul Shriek. I'd need to find like another Soul Shriek, because I'd need a 1-mana way to pump its power by 2. We only have 2 Soul Shrieks left. The chances are very low. And we just die to Hunters. Ugh, we're literally like 1 damage. Like if they block, we wouldn't be 1 damage away, but I think the chances they block are low. Shambler, Village Rights, puts this to 6. Insect is 7 damage. Soul Shriek gives +3/+0, so that's 10 damage. But we have no way to sack the Insect to give it to the Beetle, so Beetle's only 9. Oh god, that's so annoying. So I guess I just Beckoner on Insect, attack for 3. Then we have these 2 to block, but I'm chumping this guy, blocking this guy. I could also Soul Shriek the Shambler to make a bunch more tapped squirrels. That doesn't really matter unless I had like a carrion feeder, though. Ugh. I don't know what to do. Everything is so close to being good, but not really. Beckoner is the best way for me to survive, but then I block, I chump block. Without a removal spell for this, I have to just take 2, and then I have no creatures with which to like Right of Consumption. So I think I have to draw something. So maybe my out is that Soul Shriek play from before. It's getting another Soul Shriek. Attack. They don't block. I Soul Shriek. Village Rites this insect. I find another Soul Shriek. Yeah, I think so. I think that's really our main only way to win the game. We're going to attack. They could block if they are scared of dying, but that seems crazy. Because if they block, I also could just trade those, play the Beckoner. I'm not too upset. All right, so they're going to take it. So I have to, if I'm going to make this work, I have to find a Soul Shriek here to hit for 10 and then Rite of Consumption. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Soul Shriek or bust here. Amazing. I think it might be bust then. We hit for 6. I could Soul Shriek for 2. I could Rite of Consumption to gain 8, but that still leaves us dead. I might as well not show them that. Right, we also take the initiative. Oh, so close. We could have dealt them 19 damage there. 19, but not 20. Which means, was there a moment I could have ever dealt them a damage before that? I don't think so, because they had the Jewel Thief down from turn 2. So no, I never missed a damage, I don't think. Alright, bring in some Tragic Slips. Alright, we have a pretty bad hand. Now we have a lot of the same cards, but a decent hand because we actually have 2 swamps, and that's basically it. Soul Shriek is very interesting because it's probably just too bad here, but like I want to see it combo with the Rite of Consumption, and it's cool with the Shambler, but like currently we only have 2 creatures we're going to maybe be putting in the grave, and we have to put something on the bottom, so it's got to be that, I'm afraid. We're going to start with the Shambler. The reason for that is if I top deck the right 2 cards and they don't play any creatures for a couple turns, which is unlikely but possible, we can just win the game on turn 3. We would need to top deck another Swamp and a Supernatural Stamina, but I would be able to, on turn 3, play Stamina on the Shambler, sack it to the Vampire, attack for 13, and then Rite of Consumption for the last 13. We've already not hit that, so we're not going to be able to get a turn 3 win, but that's okay. This is still a fine start. Sprawl on the Forest. Then they have a Rumble, which hits Sprawl, Ridgeline, or Altasaur. They go for the gold with the Altasaur. We do get the Swamp. So let's play a Link Breaker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if they don't block the Vampire, I could hit for 18 here, but I'd have to lose everything because I could sack the Shambler, the Squirrel, the Link Breaker, the Mercenary, hit for 9 with the Vampire, sack it to the Rite of Consumption. But that ain't lethal. So I am going to sack the Link Breaker because we get the 2 damage here, but because it's going to be a Mercenary, it's going to get to pump the Shambler, which is going to be just as many creatures we can sacrifice next turn. So we basically get a free 2 damage here. They play a Forest, so they can play a 6-drop. Looks like, oh, they're Ponza. Interesting. That's fine. If that's all they have this turn, I can just Tragic Slip their spawn and then attack for lethal. So this way they can't block. We have this, like I said, same amount of math as last turn, so I can hit with the Vampire for 9, and then Rite of Consumption for the extra damage. Swing here, sack the Mercenary, sack the Shambler, sack again and again, hit for 9 damage, Rite of Consumption for another 9. Alright, that one didn't go too poorly. Good to know they're actually Ponza. Our sideboard doesn't really change for Ponza versus monsters because the main difference that I would usually do is, depending on the deck, I would bring in hand attack because I like duresses, because even though they're mostly creatures, taking the land destruction spells can be really important. Our hand attack is 2 mana, so it's actually more expensive than the rest of our deck, and we don't really need our lands that badly anyway. If we get stuck on 1 land and it gets blown up, obviously we'll lose. But ideally we keep and to get like 3 lands, and one of them gets blown up like that, and we can still operate on 2 just fine. Like, this is a fine 2-lander. We have some decent interaction with the Marauder. If we can get there, we have Shambler, Beckoner, Village Rites, and yeah, this hand's totally reasonable. They mulligan to 5, so easier for our lands to survive if they don't have the proper tools to blow them up. They do have the Marauder, which, unless I top deck a Tragic Slip, I'm not going to be able to kill right away, because we can't Marauder here, unfortunately. We do get a Village Rites, which is decent, because if I want to, next turn I could just Village Rites the Link Breaker, play a Nested Shambler, and then the following turn, Beckoner and Mercenary on the Shambler, Village Rites it, make 4 squirrels. They don't have an enchantment for the land, so it's just going to be making 3 mana, but that's enough for a Thermokarst. Yup, we do draw a land. This does prevent me from killing the Arbor Elf once again. But now we're just going to hold up a Village Rites because I would like to use a Village Rites. Draw more land before they all get blown up potentially, or just maybe some removal to slow them down. If we were playing Snuff Out in this version, then I probably would have Village Rites right there, because I might want to blow up the Arbor Elf, but since we're not, I don't need to, because I have nothing to play with the 0 mana. Cast a Rumble, get their choice of a couple cards. Looks like they might not have red, though, so Chrysalis is probably out. It's probably Hunter or Sprawl for red if they have another Chrysalis already in hand. Yep, they go for the Sprawl. Only 3 cards in hand, and one of them is a Sprawl, so looks like they're also not lands. So yeah, 2 more spells they got. I guess this could be for red, which they put it on red, but it could be for Chrysalis, or it could just be for more mana so that they can play like a 6 or 7 drop. I do get to Marauder away the elf now, which I think is probably worth it because it keeps him on 4 mana. Ooh, actually I get a Shambling Ghast. Perfect. So I want to have this Village Rites for the Shambler, but this way I get to Shambling Ghast, pick off the Arbor Elf, and save our Marauder for the next big scary thing. And I'm still trying to dig to like a Carrion Feeder or something, which would make all this Shambler business easier. So kill the Arbor Elf, draw 2. I mean, more lands. We're not going to get Ponzed out, that's for sure. Find a Wild Growth and a Jewel Thief. All right, we have gotten enough lands. Even if they blow up 2 more, 3 more, I'm covered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, Marauder's only going to kill whatever they want to kill, so I'm just going to cast it and make him sack the Jewel Thief right now. By leaving it on the field, too, if I get another sack outlet, I can Beckoner, sack it to a thing, and then kill whatever they play here, which I'm hoping is not too bad. It could be like a Boarding Party or an Annoyed Altasaur. Could be an Avenging Hunter. Malevolent Rumble. 1, 2, 3. It could be an Avenging Hunter because they can still cast that, or it could be an Annoyed Altasaur because they couldn't cast that with what they already had. This time, they're definitely just going to take a Chrysalis. Where's my Beetle? Gotta get counters for all these spawn that are about to be sacrificed. Yep, there's Chris. Brother, please stop. Well, here's a Shambler. I'm just gonna warp the Beckoner because I can get in for 5 with this Marauder, or I guess they could just block it with a spawn. But if they block it with the Chrysalis, it comes back and then it kills the Chrysalis. So I either get in for 5 or I eat a spawn, neither which is the best thing ever, but I've drawn 8 lands in 16 cards. Half of our cards have been lands in a deck that plays fewer than 1/3. And they took the 5 because they have a 7-drop, so we are going to see the Annoyed Altasaur now into a Jewel Thief. Okay, middle of the road, not the best, not the worst. They just pass. There's our Beetle, just way too freaking late. I'm going to play the Beckoner because it's way more cost effective and also just a better blocker. I could pump the Shambler to get in for 3 or 4, and if they want to block it, then I get a bunch of squirrels, or I could pump the Marauder and get in for 4 or 5. If they want to block it, they lose a Jewel Thief. I think we go with the Shambler, just swing for 4. It also comes back, of course, so them blocking it does not do them any good, but they wouldn't take 4 damage, so they go to 8. I mean, if with like a Rite of Consumption and a way to grow our guys, we could win. So like Village Rites into a Bloodthorn Vampire and a Rite of Consumption would win the game. Arbor Elf. Beckoner also does make their attacks a little rough because I could like double block the Chrysalis. They could only just trade for the Beckoner. There's the Village Rites. Okay, well, we're gonna Beetle, pump the Shambler. Might as well attack. This one they'll probably block, but if they don't, I get free damage. And they did. So we'll Village Rites the Shambler, draw 2, grow the Beetle, Rite of Consumption, okay, and a Tragic Slip's pretty good too. I don't have control over what, like a creature dying, except for the Rite of Consumption, so I'd probably just Tragic Slip right now. And I think I'm more worried about the Trampler here, because I can chump block a Chrysalis unless they get a Nyxborn Hydra. So I think we're just going to Tragic Slip that. I don't have a way to Rite of Consumption for lethal. I can make a Beckoner a 5-power creature. So I guess if I could get in for 3, that would be enough. And they concede. Okay. I mean, I was getting there, but I wanted to see what we got. I mean, that's not a great draw. That's not great draw. Depending on what they had, we might have lost that, but I guess we did not lose. Well, this hand's not very good, but we're going to keep it because we have the rare chance to get the combo off with the Beckoners. And it is really good if we just get like some fodder. The problem is we need fodder and like a sack outlet. We're against Carves, who usually does Dimir Terror. And with it being pretty good recently, I assume that's what they'll be on. Could be mono blue, I suppose. Another Swamp. Not quite what we're wanting. Play a Beetle and pass. Mental Note hits Thought Scour Brainstorm, Thought Scour Island. So that's 5 spells. There's a Delver. Give me something good. Perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Well, I guess I'll let this Beetle trade for the Delver if they want to, because we don't have much else going on. Otherwise, we're just hitting for 4. Flip Delver off a Mental Note. Cast that. Looks like mono blue to me. I mean, obviously the Delver of Secrets is usually a staple of mono blue. A Cursed Marauder would be a nice draw. Grow both Beetles and, 3 Swamps in a row. Why not? I guess we'll just pass. I mean, like I said, it wasn't a very good hand, but 3 Swamps is not going to help it out. Cryptic Serpent will take 8. All right. That just was not what we needed. And that's why you don't keep those hands. Sometimes I like to try them out, but not very good. We do get a bunch of removal and graveyard hate, though. Yeah, I mean, this hand is definitely the far superior double beetle hand. We gotta just start with a nested shambler rather than a beetle. We don't have to, but often mono blue terror will play gut shots in the sideboard, and that can eat a beetle before we can grow it, so I like to do it this way. Although they could also force spike a vampire if I just cast that, which seems problematic. So I think now I'm going to just cast the beetles. If one gets force spiked, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, but I really need the vampire to not get force spiked. They mental note, hit a ponder and a serpent. They do have the gut shot. That is annoying. I was hoping they wouldn't have both of those. They did keep a one lander, and that's 4 spells in the grave. So let's vampire, feeder. But the force spike and the gut shot for the beetles definitely a bit of a pain. They Thought Scour, hit a Sleep of the Dead, but no land. Now we get to exile their graveyard with the Spell Bomb, so that no terrors come down. We get to draw a card, and double Marauder is good if they ever get creatures, but honestly a bit of a waste because it feels like they're not going to have creatures. That said, if they never have creatures, we're going to be just fine anyway, so not a big deal. They find a Lorien. Cycle that. There's a Delver, so I can pick that off. Another Carrion Feeder. Let's just sack that. We don't have that much that we can speed this clock up a ton, but we're getting to the point where we can throw everything into the vampire now. Thought Scour mills 2 terrors. Brutal. There's a Delver, so we get to hit for 9 right now. If we get any creature, it'd be lethal. Not that creature. Well, I guess I'll play... They have to block the vampire or they die, and I'll just keep the Marauder in case they do actually get a terror out. They block the vampire, we'll grow it. They have a gut shot for the Marauder, which I'll then sack to the feeder, eat their guy, hit him for 3, and we get that game. Alright, we have a pretty janky bad hand. I feel like we're getting so many hands without any of our growers. Like, technically Soul Shriek can be a sack outlet for, not the Mesmeric Fiend, but for the Shambler with the Beckoner, but that's just like so many cards for not that much gain. Here we go. At least we have Bloodthrone and Fiend together. This hand's not exceptional either, but it's decent enough. Keepable, at least. Tragic Slip. They cycle a Lorien and Ponder. They pass. So I could play a Vampire. It could get Force Spiked or Gut Shotted. Gut Shot. We don't have much else to do, so we're gonna just cast it, test the waters. They think for quite a bit, but end up using the Force Spike, and now we're just gonna pass. Rainstorm, Mental Note, mills another Force Spike. There's a Delver, just a Delver. Interesting. That means either they don't want to play a terror right now, or they just don't have one. I'm gonna just try to kill the Delver. That works. Perigee, Beckoner. I need to have the Vampire down before the Fiend, but I also want to use the Fiend to try to clear the way. I think we just cast Fiend. If it needs a counter spell, then I'm going to cast a Vampire and hope they don't have another Force Spike. We've already seen 2 of them. Or a Gut Shot. Alive for now. There's a Ponder, and they find the Gut Shot. Pretty annoying. If we get a Swamp, I'm just going to hard cast a Beckoner and hope they don't have the counter spell. We got a 4/5. They don't. I mean, it's far worse than a Terror, but if they don't get a Terror, this could maybe go the distance. Or they could just like deem it inferior, potentially. Brainstorm into Thought Scour, away 2 islands. Into Delver, play an island, 2 cards in hand. Now we get a Village Rites, of course. Nothing to use that on. I don't want to sack my Beckoner. We'll just pass. Delver flips naturally off a Force Spike, and they have a Mystic. Okay. Force Spike and 1 unknown. Come on, give me a Nested Shambler. Or any fodder, but Shambler would be great. Perigee Beckoner. I mean, I can't quite infinite combo these because I don't have anything to sacrifice them to permanently or infinitely, but I can warp this to grow this, attack, and then I can sack this, which will bring this back. No, then I need a way to sack this to bring it back. Okay, well, if I can find a Carrion Feeder, then I could get this back, or I guess I could Soul Shriek it. We hit for 6. That's fine. Then I'm going to Village Rites the Beckoner to bring it back, targeting this guy. Draw 2. Beetle and Soul Shriek. So I could Soul Shriek it. I'd probably just play a Beetle. If I Soul Shriek... So they have Force Spike, so I can't do both, right? If I Soul Shriek, end step, it tries to warp and it tries to sacrifice, and I let it sacrifice and it comes back as a 4/5, and then next turn I have another Soul Shriek attacking. I think I do this then. I mean, it kind of shows what we're doing, but it basically gives me a 4/5 this turn, which seems good enough, because I'm just using this right now to sacrifice the Beckoner, and since it's been targeted by the other Beckoner, it'll come back. They could Force Spike if they just want a bird, which is totally possible. Then I wouldn't have to play around it, but they don't. Alright, so I need to make sure that this goes on first. So it's going to sacrifice, and that's going to bring it back. Tapped. But tapped isn't a big deal. It just means they're missing Mystic can get in for 1, but they're probably not going to do that anyway because they need the blockers, I would assume. There's a Delver. We have 1 Force Spike, 1 Unknown. We have a Soul Shriek, which with 1 more creature in the grave could make one of these lethal. So like if I cast a Beetle and they counter it, Soul Shriek becomes lethal. We get a Swamp. We are going to cast this because obviously why not? Or if they block with the Mystic, which they might, then I'll Soul Shriek to kill that. Oh, but it kills the Beckoner at end step. I always forget that. Well, always forget that. I just used it correctly. I probably just save it so that it makes the Beetle lethal next turn. We hit for 4 here. Because if I could put him to 1, that's no good. I could use it to kill the Mystic, but then we also lose the Beckoner. That's not great. We'll just do this. Hit for 4. And hope they don't get a string of cantrips. Delver flips on a Sleep of the Dead. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Yeah, let's give you the perfect card. The perfect time. Taps both of these. It also makes them birds, so I can't even like attack with the Beetle because they'll just block. And now, I mean, I just lose. That's really annoying. Theoretically, if they don't block with the birds, the Beetle can kill them, but that's just never going to happen. Link Breaker, perfect. I mean, we're going to go for it anyway, but oh, look at that. They blocked. I mean, it was super close, but that's just frustrating. All right, no lands. This one's fine. I feel like I've yet to see the Beckoners be extremely good in this league. The last game, they certainly were more relevant than a Supernatural Stamina, so I'm totally agreeing there. They did something that, you know, they attacked and were not bad, but on the whole, I feel like I've mostly been still seeing them as more expensive and more difficult to deal with. We're against some sort of Tron. Ideally, this will be a decent matchup for us because a lot of Tron ones are, just because we can go fast. Malevolent Rumble. I haven't seen that one before, but the Eviscerator's Insights makes me think probably Altertron. It certainly doesn't look like Flicker. Take a Pylons and play that. Infestation Sage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 13 damage I could deal. Just play these and swing. If they don't block the Bloodthorn Vampire, which they don't, do I want to sacrifice anything? We don't get a lot out of it. And probably better if we keep, just in case we get like a Rite of Consumption, so I think we'll just pass. There's a map, so I can find their tower, which gives them 3 mana. We get a Carrion Feeder. So with a Beckoner, I can definitely have lethal off the Vampire this turn, which at least forces the Spawn to block. Or I could just play a Carrion Feeder and we have 2 attackers that are pretty good. I think we'll do that. It doesn't technically force them to block this turn because it's not quite lethal, unless I have like a Stamina, which they might think we might have. It's getting risky for them to not block, so yeah, they do. Oh, it looks like they also just have an Eviscerator's Insight. Sure. Yep, they'll take 3. Pass the turn. They play a Star. Crack it for green. For a Rumble, finding a Terror or a Foundry. They choose the Terror. That I can kill with a Marauder, so I don't care too much. They're going to cast it. And a Prism, and a Weather the Storm. Sure. Another Carrion Feeder. Let's just play a Marauder, kill the Terror, and swing with the Crew. They block the Vampire, and I'll just hit him for 3. Another Prism. Insight away a Prism. It's the 4th Insight. Candy Trail and Energy Refractor. Ashnod's Altar. And another Weather the Storm. Look at that. They gain 18 life. We hit a Rite of Consumption. Pretty sure at 46 we're not going to be able to get there, but theoretically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 damage. I can attack for 16 and then throw for 16. Which is 32. Okay, I could probably get there next turn if they don't gain a bunch more life or win the game or whatever. I think we go with a Beckoner then as our highest way to gain damage this turn. On a Sage, attack, just deal damage. And then I'm going to sack to the Feeder. Sack to the Vampire doesn't hold over, but obviously sack to the Feeder is not what we want for the Rite of Consumption. But Beckoner's going to go away, so it doesn't matter, and this Sage comes back. So we might as well sacrifice those. And pass. Another Refractor. There's another Terror. Me Retriever. And if they have one more Retriever, we just die because they can infinite them. With the Altar, they crack a Candy Trail. So they don't have it yet. Play a Mine. 42 life. 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. I can hit for 22, 23, not 23, 20. Wait, let me do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 20 damage twice. I can literally deal 41 damage. Now, obviously, they're probably going to block the Retriever on the Vampire. They get something back. If it's not this Pact Doll, then I get to Accursed Marauder, the other Pact Doll away, this one, and then they don't have an outlet. Yeah, we're not quite lethal, and Pumping here is just as good anyway, so let's swing with the crew. Oh my gosh, they actually blocked the feeder. I mean, I'm pretty sure we don't have the damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I didn't pump here, so that's only 19 times 2 is not lethal. But I might as well sack the Marauder, which is already dying, and hit for 6. Ah yes, Eviscerator's Insight on the Retriever. I don't think they believed there was any way they could die here, which is why they didn't block the Vampire, but it's annoying because we were so close, actually. We were only like 2 damage away. Although I would have needed to pump here to make it 2 damage. But anyway, they bring back a Candy Trail, so because they're just trying to find their next Retriever. So the fact that this Marauder kills their Pack Doll is something. That means they have to find another Pack Doll as well, or Golem Foundry, or what have you. And if they don't have that, or a bunch of life gain, they have the Candy Trail, but if they don't have a bunch of life gain, we should be able to kill them next turn with a right. Sack the Candy Trail. I think I have 37 damage right now, so if we don't draw like a 1-drop fodder creature, I might not even be able to kill them right now. They go for an Insight. They go for another Insight. Digging desperately. They found the Retriever. Now, of course, they need a Pack Doll, but this can block the Vampire, so if I top deck Shambling Ghast, which picks off the Retriever and adds 4 damage, I think we can win. They go to cleanup. Infestation Sage is not a bad card, fits into our curve, but I don't think we can win this way, because assuming they block the Vampire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 creatures to sacrifice, so that could be 21, 22, or rather 42 damage, 44 with the Mercenary, but we don't need to pump the Mercenary on there, which means I want to make this feeder look more enticing to block. Because if they have nothing, and they don't believe that we can win with the Vampire, they're going to block the feeder like they did last time, maybe? So I'm trying to cause a distraction. No, they didn't fall for it. That's annoying, because the feeder grows half as quickly. So I'd have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It could deal 14, and then 14 again, 15. It could only do 29 at the max. 29 is not enough. I could deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but I need to do 29 with just the Vampire, which we know we can't do. And anything I sacrifice to deal more with the feeder is not going to be I feel like this is our last turn, but it's unfortunately just not going to get there. They bring back the Retriever. I mean, they still need a Golem Foundry or a Pack Doll Terror, but I feel like they probably have found one. One final count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 2, 18, 21 damage we could throw right now. Maybe I've been sitting around too much counting that they suspected, but also if they just have the win in hand, they obviously went with the safest play. Their loop, of course, is going to be infinite, so it does not matter if I gain a bunch of life with the Rite of Consumption. We're going to lose either way. And there's the Pack Doll Terror. You get Spell Bombs, Reunions, and Mezfiends. Marauders are not great because of the Retrievers, although sometimes they can hit the right creature. Unfortunately, with the Weather the Storms, Soul Shriek just isn't it. Like, one big burst of damage has to be an enormous amount of damage, which the Rite of Consumption can be. The Soul Shriek, less likely to be. One land, we can't keep this one based on what's in there. This one, I guess we will keep. And just keep the all card draw hand. I almost want to put away a Swamp because I'm going to be drawing so many cards, but we'll be somewhat responsible and keep the 2 lands. Play a Sage. I mean, if we didn't get another land really quickly, like, our tempo would be thrown off, so this is definitely the right way to do it. Swing for 1. Village Rites right away just to see if I get a Carrion Feeder or a Beetle I want to play. And we don't. But a Link Breaker instead of Infestation Sage is a little better. There's a Prism. Reunion. Swing for 2. Draw a couple more. We do get a Carrion Feeder. And a Mesmeric Fiend, which could be good next turn. We also did not see a land in any of that, so thank God we didn't get rid of our land. Don't be greedy. I would never be greedy. You shouldn't either. They have an Eviscerator's Insight for the star. Looking for that mine. They don't find it. That's nice. Candy Trail. Scry 1 to the top, so that very well could be it. We get a Swamp. Let's go with the Mesmeric Fiend. Sack to see what they got. Moment's Peace. That might be the one that... I mean, that is the card that slows us down the most. Astronaut's Altar is the only combo piece they have. Otherwise, it's just card draw. I kind of assume that the card they kept on top was probably a mine, but I can't do anything about that. Which means they're going to have a lot of mana. Yeah, I think we go for the Moment's Peace and just try to go fast here. Swing. Hitting for 4, 5. I can make it 6. I think I do, because I have these Reunions. So next turn it could be 7 with the Mercenary. 8, 9. Almost there. Oh, the top card was a Rumble. Okay. Rumble does find the mine, but at least it was a lot more costly to do so. Essentially costing them 5 mana to find it. Play a Prism and an Ashnod's Altar. They did get a blocker, so there's probably no way I can win this turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, theoretically, if they don't block the Eldrazi spawn, if they don't block with the spawn here, I could deal them Xaxes. Actually, no, because they can block, sack the altar, sack to the altar, and then crack the Candy Trail, which is what they're going to do. So, can't do that either way, which means I should have pumped over here for the extra damage. Alright, well, we have another Route Reunion in hand, so I'm going to use one on this Eviscerator's Insight, just cut off their card draw a little bit, then also just put a Spellbomb on board, so that it's... Spellbomb makes it really hard for them to combo, if not impossible, and the Reunions in hand can just snipe Eviscerator's Insight and stuff. Pylons, Bins, and Ashnod's Altar, pretty good hit for them. Just because they don't need another altar. It's a good card to get out of the way. Cast the Insight, sacking a star. They very well might flashback the Insight right away. 2. Now they have a Terror. Okay, sure. If that's their only blocker, they might have to throw it away in front of the feeder, although they do gain a little bit of life off of it first. Crack the star for a black, so they can play Blood Fountain and Energy Refractor, which is going to gain them 3 more. I'm going to need to draw Rite of Consumption, I think, to have lethal this turn. And they have a Retriever. I mean, we have Spellbomb. Like, we're not worried about the combo, but, like, Retriever's just annoying. They just go for it right now. Sacking Retriever to pull something out of the grave. Candy Trail. Candy Trail's going to ping, gain some more life, scry. I kind of think I just Spellbomb right now. Prevent all that. Yep, there's the Refractor. Ping for a bit. And I could sack the Link Breaker, which could give us more with the Mercenary. Be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Which isn't going to make the difference, but if I get a Beckoner, I'm going to want this to be around. So let's just leave it. Mesmeric Fiend is not a bad draw. Cast that, snipe something from their hand. Eviscerator's Insight or a map. Map is pretty useless. Eviscerator's Insight's a bunch more card draw. Let's pump the feeder. This time, I know if they chump, I'm wasting the damage from the feeder, but it's to show that it's more likely I could like kill them this turn and hopefully incentivize them to block with the Pact Doll, but they don't take that. Blocking the Link Breaker. I'll hit for 8 though. Next turn we can threaten lethal, depending on what they do here. They find a Rumble, which finds lands or a map. Not the best Rumble ever. They choose the map. It's possible they could find like another Pylons, or maybe they have a Baron more. They just looted away with the blood token. Okay. So I think they had another map from before. Yep, there we go. Trigger the Pact Doll. Pass. Beetle's pretty good. So they can block the feeder with the spawn. So I'm just going to Mercenary onto this insect here. If they don't block the feeder, we have lethal regardless, so we don't need to throw it on there. Not attack with a zombie. I don't want to be forced to throw it away though. Block the feeder. I have another Eviscerator's Insight. I feel like I've gotten rid of a million of these. How do they keep having them? I could try to Rotten Reunion it away, but they have the mana to just cast it in response. So that would be a waste of a zombie. I'll hit for 3 and I'll pass the turn. They flash it back, sacking the map. Yeah, they have lost every single Eviscerator's Insight already. I mean, I guess they're 2/3 of the way through their deck. Okay, another Pact Doll's pretty annoying. Perfect. They found all of them. Down to 8. There's a Retriever. We can exile whatever it tries to bring back, but we're at 5 at the moment. Map puts us to 2. And I guess if they play any artifact lands, they just have a Prism, why not? Well, that's not quite how we wanted that to go. Well, 2/3 is not what I like to get, especially with Black Sack. But game 1, Soul Shriek seemed pretty sweet, did us some really cool things, and then it did what I expected basically every other time. It just was awkward, it was not a creature or a reliable pump spell or anything when we needed it. There's a little bit of versatility because it was a sack outlet that one time we needed for the Beckoner, but after that first game I was super high on it, and now I'm back to where I thought it was. Not very good. Of course we didn't see it the most in a couple of our games and matches, but when we did see it, I was never really impressed with it aside from that first time. And I gotta say, pretty much the same with the Beckoner. I'm still... If other people seem to love it, that's great for them. I know generally they like comboing it with Supernatural Stamina. I didn't feel like I could fit those in this deck because we were trying the Soul Shriek. Beckoner, still not my jam at the moment. But of course, this deck is a banger on the whole. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my supporters, including my $10 and up supporters, Howard Granger, Rafa Rodriguez, JDNPX, Tommaso Magnani, Apple Beta Pie, Halkaz, Cody Cowell, Ill Intent, and Emmanuel Mayer. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all next time.